Hello, and welcome to PennFuture's presentation on how to effectively engage in the public commenting process. My name is Abby Jones, and I'm the staff attorney for PennFuture's Northeast Pennsylvania office. This presentation is adapted from Elizabeth Mullen's The Art of Commenting: How to Influence Environmental Decision-Making with Effective Comments, published by the Environmental Law Institute. We developed this presentation to help educate watershed groups and citizens throughout the state on how to engage in the public commenting process and how to do so effectively. Submitting written comments on proposed environmental actions is just one way to make your voice heard and to influence decisions on issues that you care about. In this presentation, you will find an overview of the public written comment process and tips and techniques for creating thorough and convincing comments. Our focus is primarily on submitting written versus oral comments on environmental actions, decisions, and rules and regulations, although these tips are useful for any public commenting opportunity. And while I am an attorney, this presentation is meant to encourage all non-lawyers to engage in the public commenting process. It's not daunting with a few helpful tips. So first things first, why should you submit a written comment? Engaging in the public comment process is an important way to have your voice heard. Almost all levels of government, federal, state, and local, include a public commenting opportunity as part of their environmental decision-making processes. Indeed, agencies expect and actually rely upon written comments to inform their decision-making. In particular, written comments can strengthen an environmental decision, create an accurate and comprehensive decision or record, support an appropriate and informed decision-making process, and especially for those times when legal action may be taken, written comments build a formal administrative record for your position. As an initial matter, it is important to prepare yourself even before you begin writing your comments. Preparing prior to the release of a document is not always easy, but if you can do these things, it will help in the long run. First, figure out who you're sending your comments to. Know who to address your comments and where and how to send them. Call the agency if you're not sure. Second, identify your comment period. Note that some deadlines to comments are extremely short, sometimes 30 days. Oftentimes, for exceptionally detailed or controversial actions, people will ask for additional time for public comment via a short letter to the agency explaining why it is important for the public to have more time. If this is an option you'd like to take, please consider having this letter drafted in advance of the start of the public comment period to ensure that you get it in a timely manner. Make sure that you have all the documents you need, including any applications, statutes, regulations, agency guidance documents, reports, studies, plans, correspondence, etc. Sometimes it's more effective to coordinate your comments with others, either by submitting joint comments or working with other groups to identify areas of concern. If you feel that a coordinated effort will be beneficial, reach out to others as soon as you can. Additionally, a checklist of your main points can help you keep track of your concerns, especially if the document you're commenting on is lengthy. Because the agency will sometimes be reviewing hundreds or thousands of comments, it's important to keep your comments clear, concise, and convincing. Before you sit down to write your comments, you must first prepare. This may seem obvious, but taking the time to read through the document entirely and plan before you write will help you get your message across in the most effective and efficient way. As you read, you can jot down thoughts or notes that will help you define the objectives of your comments. Don't be afraid to search out sample comments, either similar comments you find online, similar comments your organization has done in the past, or reaching out to other environmental groups to see if they can send you a sample. And this also may sound obvious, but please be sure to use consistent formatting, including fonts and spacing throughout your comments. Failing to do so will lead to comments that are distracting to read and can appear unprofessional. You want to make it as easy as you can for the agency to read and hopefully agree with your comments. Okay, now you're ready to sit down and draft your written comments. These are just some general tips to consider. Clearly identify the action and yourself and your position. This is usually done in the first 1 or 2 paragraphs. Keep it short, but be accurate. Identify all the relevant information about the action or document upon which you're commenting, including any abbreviations you may be using throughout your comments. Next, briefly identify yourself or your organization, if applicable, and your authority to comment. Explain any previous involvement with this action or related actions, including identification of any pertinent commenting history. Include topic sentences, or what's known as signposts, to alert the readers of where you're going. Signposts show the relationship of each paragraph to the comment's purpose, telegraph the point of a paragraph, and tell your reader what to expect in the paragraph that follows. Also consider breaking up your comments into sections and subsections if needed, using appropriate subject headings that separate your arguments. I've included some examples of effective headings and topic sentences at the end of this presentation, but always remember, you want to make these headings as persuasive as you can. For example, instead of saying, the agency should have considered the Steinbeck report, state instead, the agency failed to consider the Steinbeck report. And if your comments are lengthy, briefly summarize your main points in the introduction before you get into your argument section. Over the next few slides, I will cover more specific topics for effective comment writing. A good rule of thumb is to lead off with your strongest arguments or most important points. Don't bury your arguments. Now, there's an old law school adage, if the law is on your side, pound the law. If the facts are on your side, pound the facts. And if neither the law nor the facts are on your side, well then pound the table. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you have all three. If you have more than one, figure out your strongest points first and lead with those. So let's dig down a little bit. First, pound the law. If you have it on your side, the law is probably your strongest argument, so hit it hard. For example, a potential or actual violation of the law is a major comment and should be so reflected in the way you present. Usually there are two main problems with the law which you can address in your comments. First, there is a problem with the document itself. It left something out, it didn't address something adequately, or it went too far or not far enough, things like that. In short, it did not meet the letter or the intent of the legal requirement governing the content of the document or the decision. Second, there is a problem with a proposed action described by the document. For example, the action itself or some aspect of it would violate a legal requirement. Second, pound the facts. Usually there are three main problems with facts. One, the information is presented, but it is wrong or misleading. Two, the information is incomplete, either because pertinent information was not included or because new information is needed. Or three, the facts are presented but not relied on or given sufficient weight in the decision. Each of these is a valid point to comment on, and oftentimes several or all of these problems exist. Additionally, the law and the facts are usually intertwined and can be complex, such that you end up pounding both the law and the facts in support of each other. Note that in framing your comments, determine the appropriate degree of emphasis on facts. Distinguish legally relevant facts from other facts, even if you think those other facts are important. Straightforward and effective comments focus on legally relevant facts as major concerns and don't get bogged down with irrelevant facts. Third, pound the table. When all else fails, you pound the table. There are many ways to do it, but the two most popular seem to be attacking the process and attacking the people. Now, as an initial point, PennFuture does not recommend attacking the people as an effective way of commenting. And when I say attack the people, I do not mean to personally attack the people. I repeat, effective comments never include personal attacks on decision makers, agencies, staff, consultants, or others involved. What we're talking about here is really questioning the work of the technicians, the experts, scientists, those types of people who undertook the underlying work. You evaluate and question the work. So really, this is closer to pounding the facts, and that's how we recommend you do this in your comments instead of attacking the people. Now, what we do recommend when you pound the table is to attack the process. Most of the time, this means attacking one of the following. There was inadequate notice of opportunity for involvement. There was not enough time for review. The right people were not involved. For example, other agencies were not consulted. The format of involvement was insufficient or not in accordance with the rules. For example, there were no public hearings. there was not enough background information available for a meaningful participation, or the docket excluded important documents. Oftentimes, attacking the process can go hand in hand with comments that are focused on law and/or facts, but they should be classified as general or other concerns so as not to distract from your main points. Next, give them a reason to keep what you like as well as the reasons to change what you don't. The agency may be receiving comments in opposition to the points you like, so it's important to give the agency support for them to combat that opposition. Some may disagree, and sometimes it's impossible to do, but if you can acknowledge in your comments the work done by the agency staff and point out what you think the agency got right, you may be viewed as a more reasonable commenter, and the agency might be more receptive to your comments that are critical. Additionally, and if appropriate, give specific language that the agency can easily adopt. For example, literally write in your comments exactly what you think a proposed rule or regulation should say. Next, it's important that you remember that you should always try to provide specific support for your arguments. Citations to statutes and regulations help the agency follow your argument, but don't be worried about being too technical here. No one expects your comments to look like a lawyer wrote them, so don't get hung up on the formal rules. The key is to be consistent with how you reference things so that the agency doesn't get confused in reading your comments. Along those lines, it is also helpful to include any links to reports or documents so that the agencies can check for themselves. If the document is not available online, then consider it as an attachment to your comments, especially if it's an important one. If you have consultants that do studies, analyses, or reports in support of your arguments, include those documents as attachments as well. And remember, even citing informally to evidence is more effective than a general statement. Which gets us to our next tip. Use specific examples to illustrate your concerns. As I just said, specific examples are always more effective than general statements. Examples can either be real or hypothetical, but hypos must be grounded in facts and must be relevant. Oftentimes, they must also be quote-unquote likely. Many of you are the local experts on your area of focus, like the streams or the watersheds. Play up your expertise in your comments and include your own experiences and knowledge of the resources. And finally, if you can, include in your comments helpful solutions. As we said before, help them help you. These agencies may be reviewing hundreds, if not thousands, of comments in some cases, so make it easy for them to adopt your position. Most of all, one of the most effective things you can do when writing your comments is to be respectful. Thank the agency for the opportunity to comment. Don't include personal attacks, as we talked about before, either on the staff or the agency. So even if you disagree with the agency, they expect the public comments from all sides. So it's fundamental that checks and balances. Okay, now the following few slides offer some specific examples of less effective and more effective language, formatting, and structure that you can use to help make your comments more effective. These are some examples of strong verbs that you can use, and please use them often, to get your points across in a respectful way. These next examples cover more effective ways of presenting substance and content in your comments. The key you'll see is to be as specific as you can be while still getting your main points across. One good tip, do not ask questions, always make statements. And always make those statements as persuasive as you can, using strong verbs, specific examples, and the active, not passive voice. And here are some examples of style and formatting that can help make your comments more effective, including the use of headings and topic sentences to make your comments easy to follow. Remember, convey your message in a respectful manner, no matter how angry you are with the agency or their decision. So, to conclude, most importantly, we want you to remember that it is critical that you engage in the public commenting process. You're the experts and you can inform the decision making. Plus, the agencies expect public comments. Don't be left out of the process. I want to leave you with 2 final tips. First, comment early and often. And second, seek legal help if necessary. I want to thank you for taking the time to view this presentation of how to effectively engage in the public commenting process for environmental actions. If you need assistance on a legal matter, including commenting on a proposed action or regulation, please contact PennFuture and we can see if we're in a position to assist you. If you have any question about the tips and techniques discussed in this presentation, please call me at 570-216-3313. Thank you.